Correct. Fine. Good morning, students. So, welcome to the module 36 of a supply chain management subject. Actually, today we are going to see about the obstacles and what are the managerial levers to achieve the good coordination and what are the partnerships, right? So, how we can build up our strategy, what are the build up strategies, and what are the trust partnership will be there to achieve the good coordination between the each stages, that is the supply chain coordination, how we can improve the supply chain coordinations, that we can see in this class. Correct. So up to the last class we have seen whether my screen is visible. Just unmute and answer, please. Whether my screen is visible, please be respond. Yes. Correct. So up to the last class, we have seen what are the lack of supply chain coordination and what is the bullwhip effect and what are the effects of there due to the lack of coordination, how the performance will be varies, right? So that we can see in the last class. So today we are going to see about these terms, right? So what are the obstacles, right? So how the coordination will be affects, right? So what are the obstacles are there, then how we can reduce that obstacle, right? So what are the managerial thing we have to do to achieve the good coordination among the all stages, right? Then what are the building strategy for the partnerships, and we have to give the thrust on the each supply stages, right? So how we can improve these terms, right? For the good supply chain coordination, right? So that we can see, right? So last class we have seen the bullwhip effect. Then this is a bullwhip effect. Why? Because the fluctuation will be smaller in the customer range and it will be increases at the supplier range, right? So the fluctuation level will be high in the supplier level and the fluctuation will be small in the customers level, right? Then the effects, right? So due to the lack of the coordination, what are the performance effects will be there, right? So due to the cost, most of the cost will be increases. So here you can see the manufacturing cost will be increases, inventory cost increases, and the manufacturing lead time will be, that is the replacement lead time will be increases, transportation cost increases, and the handling and the labor charges will be, facility cost will be increases, right? So due to the lack of coordination, these are the effect, right? So these are the cost will be increases, right? At the same time, it will reduce the product availability, right? The level of product availability will be reduces, then the profitability will be reduces, and the relationship between the stages is going to worsen, right? So these are the effects due to the lack of coordination, right? Then what are the obstacles are there, right? So what are the obstacles are there in the supply chain coordination system, right? So the any factor that leads to either the local optimization by different stages of the supply chain or an increase in the information delay or distortion or the demand variation, that is the variability, right? Variability within the supply chain, right? So these terms are called as the obstacles in the coordination, right? So the supply chain managers, right? So supply chain managers have to identify the key obstacles, right? Identify the key obstacles, and they have to take the suitable actions to avoid these type of obstacles in a supply chain coordination, right? So these are the major obstacles we have facing in the supply chain coordination, right? So these are the 5 major obstacles, right? So first one is the incentive obstacle, and second one is the information processing obstacle, and the operational obstacles, pricing obstacles, and the behavioral obstacles, right? So these 5 are the interrelated one. So these 5 are the interrelated one between all the stages of the supply chain coordination, right? So now we can see one by one, right? So first of all, we can see the incentive obstacles, right? So in the incentive obstacles occurs in the situations where the incentive is offered to different stages or the different participants in the supply chain, right? So in the supply chain, it will leads to action that the increasing the variability, increasing the demand, and it will obviously reduces the performance, the profitability of the supply chain, right? So due to the demand variation, right? So variability, demand variation, what will happen? It will surely reduces the supply chain profits, right? So what is the supplier's demand, sorry, what is the customer's demand and what is the manufacturer's sense to the customer or a supply chain channels, right? So that demand variation will be there, right? So due to that bullwhip effect, right, due to the bullwhip effect, we have wholesaler or distributor, right? So the customer demand will be the X amount, right? But it will be passing through the entire stage and it will be goes to the manufacturer, it will be goes to the producer. So what will happen? Surely we have some X plus the lot more items, right? So the lot more items will be the extra demand, right? So what will happen? So here the increase in the demand, increasing the variability of the information, right? So due to that, what will happen? It will reduce the supply chain profits, right? So it will have the misalignment between the each stages, right? It will have some misalignment between the each stages objectives, right? So each stage will have some objective, that objective will be conflicts, right? So due to the incentive obstacles, right? So we have a lot of problems in their coordination, right? So the incentives that focus mainly on the local impact on the actions, right? Actions, and which will result the decisions that do not maximize the total profitability of the firm, right? So for example, if the component, right, if the component will be produced in the manufacturer and it will be sent to the customer, mean in between we have some lot of channels will be there, right? So intermediate channels will be there. So every channel intermediates, there is a transport requirement will be there. So what will happen? So the transportation cost will be increases, right? So the average transportation cost also increases, total transportation and average will be the increases, right? So that's the first one, right? So that is the first one. So the local optimization within the function or within the stage of the supply chain. So what will happen? So there is in supply chain cost will be increases, the transportation cost will be increases, right? So then the sales, right, sales force incentives also there, right? Sales force incentive also there. So improperly structured sales force, right? So that is a significant obstacle in the supply chain, right? So there is an improper structured sales force, right? So due to this improper structured sales force, the many of the firms, the sales force incentives are based on the amount of the sales force selling during the evolution period of the month, or they're fixing the target and they have to fix the target and they have to sell the products to the customers, right? So not only customers, there is a two types of selling will be there. So one is the sell in and sell through. One is the sell in and second one is the sell through, right? So if it is in sell in, right, if it is in sell in, the salesman will sell the product to the retailers or the distributors. They can once they will sell the product, so they can get some incentives, right? So there the obstacles will be occurs, right? There the obstacle will be occurs, so the coordination will be loses, right? Then the second one will the product, the salesman forces will sell the product directly to the customer. So that type is called as the sell through customers, right? So sell through incentives, right? So in the sell force incentives, they have two types of incentives. One is a sell in and sell through. If the sales force will sell the products through the wholesaler, retailer, or to the supply chain, right? So there it will be called as the sell in, right? So within the supply chain they are selling the product, right? But sell through means the product will be sales at the customers level, right? So customers through directly to the customers, right? So due to that they will get some incentives, right? So it will a very obstacle one, right? So it will break the supply chain profit, right? Then the second, the information processing obstacle, right? It is a very important one, right? So due to the information lagging, what will happen? The demand fluctuation will be there. So lack of the information sharing between the stages, it's not good, right? So it is a one main obstacles in the supply chain coordination. Due to this information sharing, there is a more fluctuation. There is a more fluctuation between the stages, right? Between the stages, that is the retailer stage to the distributor, distributor to the manufacturer, right? So every stage will have some fluctuations, right? So the forecasting, right? So here the forecasting based on the orders they have taken, but they are not taking the forecasting based on what the customers need, right? So due to this problem, what will happen? That lack of the information will be occur. So the information sharing between the stages is not an accurate one. So due to the accurate one, due to the information distortion, what will happen? It will magnifies the demand, right? So it is a major obstacle. It is the major obstacle, right? So information processing obstacle, right? So if the information will be passing through the each stage will be good, so what will happen? The obstacles will be removed, so the we can achieve the good coordination between the supply chain channels, right? So it is a main obstacles, right? So due to the wrong information, the operational obstacles will be occurs, right? So for example, the customer needs the X amount of the product, right? So he will order to the retailer. So the retailer will have some X plus some more product. Then they will order to the wholesaler. Then X plus some more product, right? So it will be going on like this. Means so surely what will happen? The manufacturer will produce X plus the lot more products, right? So X plus lot more product they will produce, right? So due to the lot more product, right? So what will happen? The ordering size will be increases, right? The ordering size will be much increases. So if the ordering size will be increases, means what will happen? The processing time also increases. The large replacement lead times will be occurs, right? So due to the large amount of the quantity will be ordered to the manufacturer, right? So this is the one type of obstacle. This type of obstacle is called the operational obstacles, right? So due to this, what will happen? Means if a customer need will be the X amount of product, right? So that same X amount of product will be ordered to the company, means ordered to the manufacturer, means they can easily manufacture the product and then they can easily supply to the customer, right? So what will happen? There is an intermediate channel. In this intermediate channel, they will have the wrong information. They will give the wrong information to the other stages. So obviously what will happen? The demand value will be increases. So at the time, the company has to fulfill the requirement of the stages of the supply chain, right? So for that, what they have to do means they have to produce the more component, right? So the more raw materials will be needed, right? So on the time, surely what will happen? The manufacturing lead time, the processing time will be increases, right? They have to supply the particular demand to the end customer, right? So what will happen means there is a lead time will be increases due to the large amount of the demand, due to the large ordering of the demand, right? So this is called as the operational obstacles. This is called the operational obstacles, right? Then you can see here. So here, what is it is the actual demand. It is the actual demand from the customers, but it is the actual demand. It is placed on the manufacturer's end. So there is a lot of fluctuation will be there, right? So due to the fluctuation, what will happen? The size will be increases. At the same time, the manufacturing processing lead time also increases, right? It is the obstacle of the coordination, right? So this type of obstacle is called the operational obstacles. Then the pricing obstacles also there, right? So the pricing obstacles, right? So the pricing obstacles arises, right? So when the pricing policy for the product leads an increase of the variability. Here the variability means the demand. So the demand of the order will be placed, right? So due to that, what will happen? The pricing obstacles will be increases, right? So at the same time, the lot size, right? So if we are placing the lot size, so there what will happen? We can we have one more option, right? So why we have to order uh, many items to the customers means if you are ordering the many items, so what will be the price? So if you are buying the one unit, so what will be the price? If you are buying the product in a bulk unit, so what will be the price? So there the price will be fluctuates, right? So when we are ordering or when we are buying the product in a bulk manner, so there we can have some discounts. There we have some discounts will be there. So due to the discount, we are ordering the bulk amount. So there the pricing obstacles will be occurs, right? So there is a pricing fluctuations also there. Why? Because it will result the forward buying. It will result the forward buying, right? So once the retailer or once the wholesaler, right? So due to the lot demand ordering, so what will happen there? They can buy the product in a lower price, then they can sell the product in a higher price to the customers, right? So there the fluctuating will be occurs, right? So the pricing fluctuation will be there from the retailers and to the manufacturers and to the end customers, right? So these are the main obstacles, and apart from these obstacles, the behavioral obstacle is one of the important obstacle, right? So the behavioral obstacles are a problem in learning. So within the organization, right, within the organization that contribute to the bullwhip effect, right? It will contribute to the bullwhip effect. So these problems are oftenly related to the way in the supply chain is structured and communication between the stages, right? So due to this, the behavioral obstacles will be happens, right? So how the supply chain obstacles will be there, right? So the each stage of the supply chain views in action of the local and it will have some impact, right? So they have to see the impact, how it will be impact to the other stages, that we have to see. That is the ethical term, right? So the supply chain coordination will require more ethical, right? So the each stage will have to see the impact, right? So if you are ordering the more component, more demand to the other stages, so how it will be impact to the other stages, that we have to see, right? So that type of obstacle is called the behavioral obstacles, right? Is it clear? So what are the obstacles are there? We have the 5 major obstacles. So what is that? So first one is the incentive, and second one is the information sharing, that is the information processing, and third one is the operational, and fourth one pricing, and fifth one is the behavioral obstacles. So these are all the obstacles of the supply chain, right? So here you can see, so these 5 obstacles are there, right? So these 5 obstacles are there, then how we can improve our coordination, how we can improve our coordination, right? So we have to reduce that obstacles, we have to reduce that obstacles, then automatically what will happen, we can achieve the good coordination between the stages, right? So we have some managerial levers, right? So how we can remove, then how we can reduce the obstacles, right? So that we can see, right? So the managerial levers to the achieve good coordination. So the obstacles will be clear, students. இப்போ இது போதுமா இல்ல இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் ஸ்லோவா போகணுமா? So I think in this class will be நான் ரொம்ப கொஞ்சம் ஃபாஸ்டா பேசிட்டு இருக்கேன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். Yes, anyone reply? இந்த ஸ்பீடு உங்களுக்கு போதுமா இல்ல? ஓகே ரைட். ஏன்னா இது இல்லைன்னா இதுக்கு இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் ஸ்லோ பண்ணிப்பா, அதுக்காக தான் கேட்டேன். ஓகே ரைட். Right. So we have to improve the coordination between the stages, right? So how we can achieve that coordination, right? So having the identified obstacles, so we have some identified obstacles will be there in the coordination of the supply chain. So what are the obstacles are there? Incentive, then the information, pricing, operational, and the behavioral obstacles, right? So now the focus on the action that we can take up to overcome that obstacles, right? So if we are overcome that obstacles, means surely we can achieve the coordination between the stages, right? So for that, the managerial actions will increase the supply chain profits and it will moderate the bullwhip effect also, right? So for that, we have chosen a way, right? So how we can improve the supply chain coordination, right? So we have to align the goals and incentives, right? So that's the first term, right? So due to the sales force, right? Due to the sales force, what will happen? They will sell the product in sell-in condition and the sell-through condition, right? So there, the manager can improve the coordination within the supply chain by aligning the goals and the incentives, so that the the every participants, right? The every participants or every stage in the supply chain activities, they works to maximize the supply chain profits, right? They will maximize the supply chain profitability, right? So that is the first term, right? Then the second one, we have to improve the information accuracy, right? So due to this problem, due to this, what will happen? The demand fluctuation will be occurs. So we have to uh, maintain a single platform, right? So that the information has to pass to the other stages in accurate manner, right? So if it is not accurate, so there is some fluctuation will be less. Maximally, the fluctuation will be reduces, right? So we have to improve the information. We have to reduce that information distortion. We have to reduce the information delays, right? So we have to improve the information accuracy. So it will helps to achieve the good coordination between the stages. Then once the accuracy information will be goes to the other stages, so automatically what will happen? The operational performance will be increases. At the same time, the lead time also reduces, right? The replacement real time will be reduces, right? So due to these three, what will happen? The pricing strategy will be comes into the role. So the pricing will be good for the each stages. So each stage will have some benefits, right? So each stage will have some profit on their supply chain, right? So apart from these four, the building strategies and the partnership thrusts will be good, right? So if the accuracy will be good, information accuracy will be good in the all stages, means so surely what will happen? The thrust will be increases, so the partnership will be good, right? So building the good partnership and the good trust on the other stages, so it will helps to achieve the good coordination in the supply chain. So automatically what will happen means the profitability of the firm, the profitability of the supply chain will be increases, right? So now we can see the one by one, right? So what is the aligning goal and incentives, right? The aligning goal and incentives, right? So the manager can improve the coordination within the supply chain by aligning the goals and the incentives, so the every stages in the supply chain activities workers, and they can maximize the profit in the supply chain, right? So they can maximize the profitability in the supply chain. Within the supply chain they can get good profitability, right? Then how we can achieve this type of, how we can align the goals and the incentives means we have to align the incentives across all the functionality terms, right? All the functionality terms within the supply chain, right? So we have to align the incentives across the functions, right? So the coordinated decisions within the firm is to ensure that the objective of any function uses to evaluate the decision and it is aligned within the firm's overall objective, right? So the functions objective will be conflict, then only we can achieve the good incentives, and good goals has to be set. The targets will be set by the companies, right? So what will happen? So there the targets will be same for all the stages, so the functions will be the same. The objective of all the stages, the functions of the functional objectives will be same for all the stages. So there is no mismatching on the objectives, so it will be goes on the objective. They have to fulfill their objectives, right? So there we can have some alignment on the objectives of all the stages, right? So on all the functional objectives. Then the pricing of the coordination, right? So if the manufacturer can use the lot size based on the quality discounts, right, to achieve the good coordination for the commodity products, right? So if the manufacturer has the large fixed costs associated with the each type of the product in some each type of batches, right? So the pricing coordination will be good. So after the sales force incentives, right, So we have to alter the sales force intensive. Generally we have the sell in and the sell through, right? So if sorry, right. So if it is in sell in, right, it will be sells through the retailer. If it is in sell through, it will be directly sells to the customer, right? So we have to alter some sales force incentives, right? So there we have to reduce the targets, right? Then we can achieve the all the functional objectives, right? So that will improve the supply chain coordination, right? Then we have to improve the information accuracy, right? So the data has to share in a public or in a easy domain, right? So then only the what is the customer's demand, how they can forecast the customer's demand, right? So the forecasting methods will be same, right? So then only the information sharing will be good, right? So here the forecasting will be the same, means so we are using the single stage control, right? So for the manufacturing of the product, right? So the continuous replacement programs and the common vendor unit, that is the inventory unit, will be the common one. So what will happen, the forecasting and planning will be coordinates in with all the stages, so the information sharing will be good, right? So if you are using the same method to all the stages, so obviously what will happen there, the forecasting demand will be passing through all the stages in the same manner, so the information sharing will be good. So we have to improve the information accuracy, right? So it will automatically improve the supply chain coordination, right? Then if the information will be good, right, if the information will be passing, it will be good in all the stages, so what will happen, it will automatically improve the operational performance, right? So it will reduces the lead time of the manufacturing process, right? So how we can reduce the manufacturing process means the EDI, that is the electronically data interchanges, right? So EDI means the electronic data interchange will be there, so it will be useful, right, for the forecasting, or it will be useful for the knowing the demand of the customers, right? So so automatically what will happen, the accurate amount will be placing on an order to the manufacturer, so they can produce the size will be in less, right? So what is the demand, so that demand has to will be manufactured in the company, so the automatically what will happen, the lot size will be reduces, the lot size will be reduces. So once the lot size will be reduces, so automatically the lead time also reduces to, so the lead time will be reaches, the product will be reaches to the customers in a easy manner, right? So once the information distortion will not be there, so automatically what will happen, we can improve the operational performance in an easy manner, right? So automatically it will improve the coordination between the all the stages, so we can achieve the good coordination, right? So due to the information sharing and the operational performance, right? Then we have to designing the pricing amount, right? So for the orders, right? So due to this pricing, what will happen, the moving from the lot size to the base volume of the quantities on the discounts, right? So we can see that one, right? So moving from the lot size, right, so based on the volume, right? So if you are buying in a lot amount, so we have some discount prices, then it will be shared by the distributors and the wholesalers, right? So then it will be earn the profit, and at the same time it will have some disadvantages, right? What will happen means the inventory storing will be there in the stage of the wholesaler or distributor or in a retailer terms, right? So there they can compensate the discount amount, right? They will compensate the discount amount as a in a particular time period, they will compensate the discount amount will be as a inventory charges, right? So the designing, right? So how we can, when we can order the product, and what is the amount of the product we have to order, then what is the demand of the customer, and how we can forecasting the orders from the customers, right? So based on that data, we have to order the product into the manufacturer. So whether we have to order in a lot size or a batch size or in a small quantity we have to order, right? So due to that, what will happen, the pricing strategy will be varies, right? So if you are buying the one quantity, so the price will be the same. If you are buying the 10 quantities in a particular amount of quantity, surely we can get in a discount prices, right? So that discount price will be shared in a profit terms, right? So the stabilizing the pricing. So we have to eliminate the promotions, right? So every day the lowering price will be there, means it will be not good. So we have to stabilize the pricing, and then the limited quantity has to purchase over the all the stages, right? So it will creates the demand, it will creates the sales force incentives, right? If you are ordering the more product from the manufacturer, right, so automatically what will happen, so the demand will be increases, the inventory cost will be increases. So for that only we have to sell the product in forcefully to the customers, right? So on the time what will happen means the selling force incentives will be again, it will be wake up, right? So it will have a very obstacles in a good supply chain coordination, right? So we have to avoid that type of the selling force incentives, right, by ordering the more amount of the quantity in a manufacturer, right? So we have to see the how we can order the materials, right? The stabilizing of the orders is a very important one, right? So due to the stabilizing order, so due to the size, due to the lot size of the order, we have to designing the pricing, right? We have to decide the pricing, right? So apart from this, we have to build a good partnership, we have to build a good partnership, and we have to build a good trust on the other stages, the each stages in a supply chain coordination. It's a very important one, right? So if we are building the good partnership, right, so then we can achieve the good coordination among the various stages, right? So the trust build will be a very important one, right? So the here we have the relationship between the stages, relationship between the stages in the two categories. So one is the dependability and second one is the leap of the faith, right? So here a trust based relationship between the two stages of the supply chain, which includes the dependability of the two stages, and it will have the ability to of the each stages to make up the leap of the faith, right? So this is the relationship, right? So trust based relationship on building the strategies of the partnership in the supply chain, right? So the trust will be involved of the belief that the each stages is interested on the other welfare stages will be there. So without considering or we will not take any action, we will not take any action without considering the other stages impact, right? So we have to ethically we have to see, right? So due to the ethical term, right, we can build our partnership and we can give the more trust on the other stages, right? So the cooperation and the trust within the supply chain, it will helps to improve our performance, right? So it will help to improve the good supply chain coordination, right? So how it can be helps, and then what is the reason, right? So the good cooperation and the trust will work because of when the stages trust in each other. So what will happen, there are mostly like to take the others objectives into the consideration while making the decisions, right? So it is the important one, right? It is the important one. So here we have the plenty of the supply chain stages will be there, right? So if a particular stage will have to take the decision means, so while taking the decision they have to consider the other stages, right? So due to this trust, due to this partnership, right, so it will be a very important one. Then the action oriented terms, in the action oriented managerial terms, to achieve the good coordination becomes very easier to implement for the supply for the sharing of the information in a natural way or in a good way, right? So due to that what will happen, the greater information sharing will be occurs. So due to the greater sharing means what will happen, it will avoid the duplication and it will avoid the wrong information or the information distortion will be there. So what will happen, if the greater information sharing will be there means the trust will be good and as well as the coordination will be good. Is it clear? Right. So these are all the building strategies, these are all the building strategies so which we have to use in the supply chain coordination, right? Then we have some relationship, right? So the contracts and the selection of the contractors, selection of the partnerships, so that will be we will be discussed in the second class of the fourth unit. Second class of the fourth unit will be we discussed, right? So what are the cooperation will be there, and what are the contracts, so how we can select the contracts, right? So that we have discussed in the earlier classes, right? So in the second class of the fourth unit we have discussed these terms. Then if all we are how we can improve our supply chain coordinations will be in the theoretical manner we have seen, but in actual manner it will have some, always the practical term will be differs from the theoretical term, right? So in the term of to achieving the good coordination between the each supply chain in a practical manner, right? So we have to see these terms, right? So the first term we have to quantify the bullwhip effect. So how much of demand fluctuation will be there, right? So first we have to analyze that one. Then we have to reduce that demand fluctuation from the customer's demand to the manufacturer's supplies, right? So we have to reduce, right? We have to reduce the bullwhip effect, right? So in the customer's hand, the fluctuation will be reduced, will be small. At the same time, in the level of the supplier or the manufacturer, the fluctuation will be high, right? So we have to quantify, right? So how much amount of fluctuation will be there, right? So that we have to quantify and we have to reduce, right? So by the bullwhip effect, we have to analyze the bullwhip effect, right? So that is the first term, right? So while we're implementing, while we have to go for the good coordination among all the stages in the supply chain, so first we have to reduce the fluctuation level. So first we have to reduce the fluctuation level. So what will happen means the top management commitment will be good in a supply chain management, right? So the ownership will be, or the partnership or the trust will be good, right? So then only the good coordination will be occurs. So the good trust will be occurs. So due to the good coordination and due to the good trust, so we can avoid the fluctuation by the correct information sharing, right? Then we have to devote the resources to the coordination, right? We have to share, right? Then the communication with all the stages, right? The communication with all other stages, the information sharing, right? We have to focus on the information sharing, right? So for that only the information, the decision IT in a supply chain is a very, very important one, right? So the role of IT in the supply chain is a very important one. So due to the IT condition, due to the information sharing condition, these all obstacles and these inbeneficial terms will be occurs, right? So we have to give the strong communication between the all stages has to focus, right? So we have to implement these terms, then we have get the good coordination between all the stages, right? So due to the communication only, the lot of obstacles will be occurs, then profitability terms will be reduces, right? So mainly depends on the information sharing. So if the information will affect the trust, information will affect the partnerships, then the information affects the fluctuation levels, right? So the main one is the focus on the communication between the stages, right? So focus on the communication between the all stages. So if it will be good, so surely we can achieve the good coordination between the stages of the supply chain, right? So if we have to see these four, so these three will be again telling the same terms, right? So we have to try to achieve the good coordination in the entire supply chain. How we can achieve? So by using the trust, by using the building partnership, by using the good communication between the stages, right? Then only we can achieve the good communication, good coordination between the stages, right? So we have to use some technologies. Why we have to use the technologies? Due to the information lagging, we have received lack of coordination will be there. So we have to build new technologies. We have to build good technologies to improve the connectivity in the supply chain, right? So not only the information, there is some transport as well also. So we have to see the term, the role of IT, right? The role of IT is a very important one in the supply chain, right? So automatically if the IT will be good, so we can get the benefits, right? So that benefit has to be the equity level, right? So that we have to see in the supply chain coordination, right? So in this fourth unit, we have seen sourcing, pricing, and the supply chain coordination. And due to the lack of supply chain coordination, what will be happen, right? Then how we can achieve the good coordination, right? So that we have seen in the fourth unit, right? So up to this, the fourth unit will be completed, right? Up to this, the fourth unit will be completed. So from the next class, we have started. We're going to start in a fifth unit, right? So up to this, do you have any doubt in this class? Anyone? No. Right. So it's a very simple subject.